AMC stock continues to be on a warpath to the upside, up about 7% here again today. So a very welcoming move from the bottom to where we are now, which we 100% called out here on this channel. A good reason to subscribe and hit that like button. But nonetheless, a lot of this bullish optimism today, in my opinion, might be fueled by renewed rumors of a potential AMC takeover. And considering the numbers that AMC is putting up from all of these blockbuster movies that they're getting, record ticket sales, record food and beverage sales, it might make a little bit more sense. Now, we're going to dive into exactly why people are speculating about a takeover with AMC, what that would cause for the stock if that actually did happen, and we're going to take a look at the Ortex data as well, because we have a lot of bullish option positioning with a positive order value of 100%, and the cost to borrow numbers are literally going crazy today, guys. So let's dive straight into it. Hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you guys have not already. If you have not already, what are you waiting for, baby? It is free 99. But nonetheless, that is neither here or there. Let's talk about it. So, a takeover with AMC. This is not a new concept. Back, early summer, when there was speculations about Netflix or Amazon buying out AMC, the valuation was a lot different, right? So your good assets were valued very, very highly, and AMC still had a lot of debt, because when you take over a company, you take over the debt, you take over the assets, the good and the bad. You buy out all of it. But one thing people fail to realize is that when you're on Wall Street, or you are an investor in general, when you buy a company with debt, obviously you're buying all of that company, so you're buying the debt, but you can write that debt off. And if you're a profitable company, it can make sense to do that. That's a big reason. For an example, a lot of people think Elon Musk just bought Twitter because, yes, they have debt, and Elon can go write that off, and it's at the end of the year. So getting ready for that tax time, getting your ducks in a row for Uncle Sam. So, with that being said, and the valuation being so much lower now, I think it makes more sense. And really where a lot of this speculation is coming from is actually this video, where at about the 1 minute 50-second mark, Adam Aaron was asked, what does the long term look like for AMC? Adam Aaron grabbed the knot in his tie and said, I don't have questions about the long term. A lot of people are saying that he's giving us a coded message that they are tying the knot on something big. And at the same time, which I think this is the most interesting part, he actually had a Disney tie on, which is, that's the thing that really makes me intrigued about this, because at first I was thinking, we've heard these before, it hasn't materialized, blah, 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 but that's the tie he had on, guys, a Mickey Mouse tie. And Adam Aaron, he's always trying to send us that cryptic message, and potentially it could be a merger, a marriage, whatever you want to call it, with Disney. It would make sense in the line of work that Disney is in if they could also add benefits to AMC. It could be a very mutual relationship, and that's a company not a lot of people have thought about potentially buying out AMC, but Disney would be in a position to do that. They have plenty of cash on hand to buy out the company outright, and they are a profitable company, so you could still write off that bad debt that AMC has. It doesn't look like a bad proposition. Now, I don't know what Adam Aaron has in store for us. That's not really the point of this video. I am not the guy that has inside information on the board of AMC that could tell you what's going on. I wish I did. If I did, I would let you guys know. But simply, what would this do to AMC if it does happen? Because you guys can go ahead and watch this video, what's actually said and how he kind of grabbed the knot in his tie out of nowhere, and the fact that it's a Disney tie, right? That's the premise of all of this. Now, you have to admit, it makes a little bit of sense for Disney at these levels to acquire AMC. I think it fits right into its business model and would be a benefit to their company. And you also cannot deny that it's very strange how Adam Aaron worded his words and did the whole, not in the tie thing, right? And we'll play that clip at the end of this video. But what I really want to focus on is not necessarily if the acquisition is going to go through or if it's not, but what would happen to AMC if it did. And that's the big, I guess, call it unknown in a degree, in a way, because typically on a normal stock, once you get a buyout price, right? If Disney came out and said, we're going to buy out AMC for $10 a share, for an example, or $12, the stock would typically, if it was ABC, DE stock, whatever stock it was, right, would go to that price almost instantly, as long as there was no monopoly concerns or that the deal wouldn't go through. So you'd get a big jump up almost immediately. But in some cases, when there's a lot of short interest, when there's a lot of manipulation and synthetic shares out there, in the case of Redbox, for an example, the buyout price was only like 40 cents on that stock, and it ran up to $10 plus at one point. You can get moves higher than the buyout price, and I think that is what would happen with AMC stock, because once you get a buyout, essentially the shares have to be returned to their rightful owners. So from there, they can be bought out by the company, because to buy out the company at, say, $10 per share for Disney, they would have to buy all 513 million shares outstanding. So that could cause a lot of problems, especially if shares are still being lent out multiple times. That would be a big problem, and you would see shorts being rushed to cover on their short positions, in the likes of which we have never seen in the stock market. You thought GME was crazy? I think an AMC buyout would be next level crazy. It's something that hedge funds would not be expecting. Right now, they think it's a free-for-all. They think they could just lend out stock over and over again. They're making hand over fist, just like credit default swaps and MBSs and, CDOs in 2008, until something broke, and then everyone, had no cards in their hands, right? It was the best poker face turned into the worst hand in the world, essentially, theoretically speaking here, right? So if a buyout were to happen, the first thing that I would expect is AMC to instantly rocket to that buyout price, almost instantaneously. So if you owned options, if you had your shares still, whatever the case is, you would make a lot of money, especially if you're in options, and the price just seen a 50% ramp up in one day. That would be positive. But I think from there is when you would start to break out above those key levels, as those shorts realize we are screwed. We need to save our own ass first and cover on this before everyone else gets to it. Kind of like in 2008, if you guys have watched The Big Short, right? Those couple hedge funds, once they confirmed like shit's about to get crazy, they went all in with their short positions. They went 100% in. Michael Burry risked his whole fund. So did all of these, 5 other hedge funds in the movie The Big Short, which actually is how it played out in real life. They went all in. And essentially the banks rushed to protect themselves. Long story short, there's a lot of similarities here in the way that Wall Street works. They're going to protect themselves first, and that would mean covering on those short positions. And it could be a big problem from here, because if you guys go ahead and look on the Ortex data, we have 20.5% short interest, a solid 20.5%, not including synthetic shares, not including, shares that have been lent out multiple times, or any of that. You're at a 20.5% short interest. Now, if you look at the days to cover, you're almost at 6. So what that means is the volume has been very low relative to the amount of shares that are currently sold short, which sits at about 106 million shares. So when you have a high days to cover and a lot of shares that are sold short, and it's increasingly getting higher as a percentage of the free float, which it has been, that's where you start to get these cost to borrow spikes, because nobody wants to lend out stock in which they think could go through a short squeeze. In that case, you'd miss out on those gains because somebody else would have your shares, right? So you're seeing the cost to borrow numbers going insane yet again today. 289.32% cost to borrow average for AMC stock. Cost to borrow max sitting at 358.57%, up again today from the levels we were at yesterday at about 305% cost to borrow max. And the cost to borrow minimum, it's really hovering around that 105% range. Today it looks like 16% is the lowest level that we have been at. Shares are actively being lent out around that 45% cost to borrow mark, and that is very, very high, guys. So keep in mind, 45% cost to borrow alone is not something to sneeze at. And if we take a look at the option activity for the day, we are at 6 orders so far, totaling $133.61 thousand with a 100% positive order value. This is something I like to look at. And something that stands out to me is today we're at 100% positive order value, but those days we were rallying, Thursday, Friday, 18%, almost both those days. The positive order value was not even over 50% for most of those days. The positive order value for the last week is sitting at 16%, 111 orders totaling about $35 million. But all of a sudden today, a lot of people are getting bullish on AMC stock. A lot of hedge funds are getting bullish, probably trying to protect their short positions by going long in options. Now, when this is all said and done, when the chickens come home to roost for the hedge funds, the question is, how high could AMC go? What's the target range that I am looking at here? And if we do get a buyout, if we did get all of these things come in line with what I'm saying here in this video, you could see something that is bigger than GameStop. You could see something that is borderline taking down every hedge fund that is in this stock on the wrong side of it, just because of how fast those losses might be able to compound. GameStop had dollar moves every single candle. You could be talking about $5 or $10 moves per candle here. Look at Redbox and what that did, even though the buyout price was 40 some cents. The stock could go parabolic. And for reference here, the buyout price for, like I said, Redbox was 40 cents. The stock went over $1. So that would be a 20x move from the actual buyout price. Let's call AMC's buyout price at $10 just for a rough number here. You 20x that and you're sitting at $200. You 50x that, you're sitting at $500. And I think with the level of manipulation that AMC has, the amount of shares I firmly think have been lent out multiple times, and the pressure to get out of that short position at that time would be incredible. So I do think even 50x, get in the right circumstances, in the right conditions, is certainly possible. So not trying to put a ceiling on anything, not really trying to say this or that. A buyout I think is still less likely than not, and I think a buyout would still take time if it were to actually happen. But if it does happen, that would be next level bullish activity, a next level short squeeze, in which something that we have not seen in our lifetimes in the stock market, guys. So that is going to be it for this video. AMC stock continuing to rally right now, up about 10.5%. This looks like a news reaction. We'll have to see and report to you guys in the next video. Nonetheless, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you guys have not already. Hopefully you did in the beginning of this video, but now is better than never. If you guys want to come trade with me live in real time as well, link down below in the description of this video. Source your comments, questions, or concerns down below in the comment section. Let me know what you guys think about this potential buyout confirmation, rumor, what do you want to call it? What do you think's going on? That's where you let me know, is down below in the comment section, baby. So that is it. You guys enjoy the rest of your day, and I will see you in the next video.
AMC globally is going to have more than 4.9 million people just in our theaters alone, and this is the beginning of what we think is going to be a big holiday season.
So how do you think about that relative, and you've talked about how you need more films, what does it take to get this to be a profitable enterprise? Last quarter you burned through about $179 million, and I think there's real questions about what the long term of this looks like.
Well, I don't have questions about the long term, I just have questions about right now, because right now Hollywood is shorting us the traditional number of released movies, but having had lots of conversations with senior studio executives, what they're telling us is they're seeing how much money is being made in theaters. Go back to Top Gun Maverick, $1.6 billion in theaters on its run.